100 milliseconds, that is 1/10 of a second, is the amount of time that it takes for the human eye to blink. It's the amount of time that it takes for your average centerfire bullet to travel approximately 100 yards. And it's the exact amount of time necessary to lose a match or place further down the list than you would have otherwise. It's the amount of time that's the difference between seeing where you hit on a game animal and asking your hunting buddy, did I get him? 100 milliseconds of lost time can cost you a lot in shooting, because there is information that is available only for a very, very short period of time. And if you don't collect it when it's available, it's lost to the winds of time forever, never to be found again. So today, let's talk about that one key piece of information that would make you a better shooter if you could collect it, and how I'm having to make changes to how I shoot and my equipment in order to be able to collect that information more effectively so that I can use it for my shooting. So what information am I talking about? I'm talking about the trace. Now, the trace is going to last as long as the bullet's in flight above Mach 1. Don't get me wrong. Your time of flight to 200 yards is about 200 to 250 milliseconds. It's a bit of time. The problem is the trajectory of the bullet makes it difficult to pick up the bullet in flight if the bullet has already reached its apogee when you start looking for it. All of this came as an epiphany to me at the last farm out match that I attended. You see, we were shooting a KYL stage at 450-ish yards off of a couple of stumps, one bag. Nothing spectacular, pretty easy stage, except some of the targets were extremely small. And when I say extremely small, I mean 0.1 to 0.15 mils wide. Extremely small. These were little targets, the kind of targets that are extremely fun if you can figure out what the wind is. The problem is, in order to figure out what the wind is in real time while shooting a KYL, you better be seeing where you're impacting on the target. But a target that swings on impact is going to be a little hard to look at the surface of it and see where that splash was, because it's moving around so violently after the shot. Instead, you need to collect the information on the way to the target, if you can. But I've always had trouble picking up the trace on a short shot like that. Longer shots are super easy to see the trace, but on shorter shots, it's a little challenging. I pick it up just as the bullet is passing the target in many cases inside of 300 yards. And I might pick it up in the final descent into the target at 400, 450, and sometimes I don't. You have to have the light just right for me to see it. But what I learned that day was this. My problem had nothing to do with the lighting or anything else. It had to do with me blinking, that is, micro-flashing. You see, I have become accustomed to a situation where I get, battered by sound and concussion after a shot, especially if we're shooting in a situation where the break is near an obstruction, something to reflect that back upon me. If we're out in the open, out in the wind, it's not a big deal. I don't even notice it. But when we're next to an obstruction, that concussion hits me solidly, in the face typically, and that teaches you to blink when you shoot. And that blink consumes just that critical moment when the bullet is climbing toward apogee, when you really need to be looking at it to find the bullet so that you can track it to the target. Now, while I was shooting this KYL, the first 7 shots, I saw all the way from muzzle to impact trace because my eyes stayed open. And I have absolutely no idea why that happened, because not long thereafter, I started blinking again. But I had seen the light. I had seen the importance of this one thing in order to make my shooting better. And no matter how much you reduce recoil, it doesn't fix other problems, because my blink wasn't caused by recoil. It was caused by noise or concussion. It really doesn't matter which, because I blinked every time I shot. And it wasn't until my friends at Precision Armament offered to let me test one of their Titrex suppressors that I decided to do something about this. Now, I'm one of those guys that is extremely risk adverse when it comes to legal matters. I stay in the middle of the box that I'm in, nowhere near the walls. because wisdom teaches you that getting too close to the walls can have bad outcomes even when you're inside of your box. So after working with Silencer Shop, my mind is completely changed. I applied for a tax stamp on Thursday afternoon and had it on Monday morning. 2 working days, and you have a stamp. I never imagined it would be that easy. So does that mean I don't need a muzzle brake ever again, that I'm putting the botanillas away and not shooting them anymore? Absolutely not. Because when I travel, if I'm going up to Canada for a match, going down to California for a match, traveling on my way somewhere where I have to change planes in Chicago, or worse yet, have a connecting flight out of California or even New York, I'm going to have to run a muzzle brake for obvious reasons, because getting caught in possession of a suppressor in one of those states could be ruinous to your shooting career. Now, I'm no lawyer, but taking legal risk for no good reason doesn't make any sense to me. So you're probably wondering about the Titrex suppressor. Well, I'll do a full review a little later on after I have some more experience with it. I only have about 80 rounds shooting through this suppressor, but I want to show you something that happened after about 30 rounds. This is me shooting the 6 Dasher. Notice anything? Yeah, I'm not blinking anymore. My eyes are staying open. And guys, I'm seeing things at 200 yards that I have never been able to see before. I'm able to pick up the bullets sooner. Now, I'm not seeing the trace very well at 200 yards, but at 600, it's super easy now. Better yet, I'm picking it up in the climb. Now, the downside is pretty obvious. A suppressor is not a muzzle brake, so it's not pulling on the muzzle, holding you in alignment after the shot. So you are going to have to improve your position a little bit. It allows more muzzle rise, so you're going to have to improve how you're handling the forend of the rifle. And you might even have to adjust the fit of your chassis slightly to take advantage of a slightly better position. You can't be as sloppy with a suppressor as you can with a brake. On the other hand, that Recoil-X brake is enough downforce that you can even fire a free recoil shot. I'll be damned, it actually went down. Of course, while hanging onto the forend, and get a pretty good result. So the one thing that I really like so far with this Titrex suppressor that I'm going to point out right now is the X-band technology on it. You see, there is a band that carries the serial number. That means the core can be replaced easily. They claim in 48 hours in shop by simply sending it to them and paying them a marginal fee. Instead of having to pay $1,200 for a new suppressor, it's only $400 to change the core. And that means your suppressor is upgradable. As core technology improves, as they come up with new designs, you can just send the suppressor in and get the core changed out and have virtually a brand new suppressor anytime you need it, whether it's from wear and tear or just wanting a different design. And that, to me, makes this particular suppressor unique in this space. It's the one thing that has reduced my hesitancy to go to suppressors more than anything else. But like I said, a full review is coming in the near future after I've shot a couple of matches with it, because I want to make sure that what I saw on my first outing with the suppressor is what I see through a few matches, so that I understand the totality of the differences of going from a brake to a suppressor and what that means to my shooting. So for now, the message is this. If you have a recoil blank with a rifle that stays on target, you need to do something about it. If that means going to a suppressor to reduce the noise in order to reduce your blinking so you can see that critical information when it's available to you, I'd advise you to give her a try. Suppressors are cool. I just didn't know how cool they were until just now. So guys, until next time, shoot straight. Don't be so afraid of doing the paperwork, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh my.